The NBA has a dirty little secret that most fans don't want to admit. Alperen Sengun might just be the most underrated superstar in the making, and what he's been doing behind the scenes is about to change everything. While everyone's been obsessing over the usual suspects, this 23-year-old Turkish center has been quietly building the foundation for what could be the most devastating offensive partnership the league has seen since prime Shaq and Kobe. Most casual fans still see Sengun as just another promising young big man, but the numbers tell a completely different story. Last season marked his official arrival, first All-Star selection, first playoff appearance, and leading the Rockets to their biggest jump in wins in years. But what's really terrifying for the rest of the league is that we're just seeing the beginning of something much bigger. Here's something that'll blow your mind. Sengun's trajectory almost perfectly mirrors what Nikola Jokic did in his early years. Except he might actually be ahead of schedule. When Jokic was 23, he was averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. Sound familiar? That's basically what Sengun just did. But with one crucial difference, he did it while learning to play elite-level defense for the first time in his career. The comparison goes deeper than just stats, though. Both players revolutionized what it means to be a center in the modern NBA. Jokic showed the world that the position could be reimagined around playmaking and basketball IQ, rather than just size and athleticism. Now Sengun is taking that blueprint and adding his own terrifying twist. He's doing it all while being one of the most dominant post scorers in the league. What makes this even more incredible is how Sengun developed his court vision. Unlike most centers who learn to pass out of double teams, he sees plays develop 3 passes ahead. Watch him operate and you'll notice something that separates him from every other big man except maybe Jokic. He's not just reacting to what the defense gives him, he's actively manipulating defensive rotations with his eyes and body language before the play even starts. But here's where it gets controversial. Some NBA scouts are whispering that Sengun's basketball IQ might actually be higher than Jokic's was at the same age. That's a bold claim, but when you break down his decision-making in crucial moments, especially during Houston's playoff run, it's hard to argue against it. The Kevin Durant trade didn't just give Houston a superstar, it created what could be the most unstoppable two-man game in basketball, and if you think that sounds like hyperbole, you haven't been paying attention to what these two players do best. Durant has spent years being wasted on teams that couldn't maximize his off-ball brilliance, while Sengun has been desperately needing an elite finisher to complete his playmaking masterpiece. Here's what nobody saw coming. Durant at 36 might actually be entering his most efficient phase because of Sengun. The last time KD played with an elite playmaking big man was during those Warriors years with Draymond Green, and he shot an insane 85th percentile in handoffs and pick-and-roll situations. Now he's getting that same luxury, except this time his partner can actually score 25 points a night and dominate in the post. The handoff game alone is going to be unfair. Sengun has already mastered the art of reading defensive rotations in real time. He doesn't run scripted plays, he creates them on the fly based on what he sees developing. Give him Kevin Durant as his handoff partner, and suddenly defenses can't cheat anymore. They can't send extra help because Durant will punish them. They can't switch because Sengun will expose the mismatch in the post. But the real genius move is the inverted pick-and-roll action they're going to run. Sengun tested this with Fred VanVleet last year and put up 95th percentile numbers as a pick-and-roll ball handler. That's absolutely insane for a 7-footer. Now imagine Durant setting that screen instead of a 6'1" guard. The spacing becomes impossible to defend, and suddenly you have two players who can score from anywhere on the court operating in perfect harmony. What's even scarier is that both players can operate on either side of these actions. Durant can screen for Sengun, Sengun can screen for Durant. They can run handoffs in either direction, and both can create their own shot when the play breaks down. That level of versatility hasn't existed in the NBA since the peak Warriors years. But let's keep it real. Sengun almost cost Houston their entire season because of one glaring weakness that nobody wants to talk about. His shooting efficiency was absolutely brutal when it mattered most, and it nearly sent the Rockets home in embarrassing fashion during their first playoff appearance. The numbers don't lie. Sengun shot just 45% from the field in the playoffs, which is borderline unacceptable for a player his size. In the crucial games 3 and 4 against Golden State, when Houston had a real chance to steal the series, he went 39% and 43% respectively. Those weren't difficult shots either. We're talking about gimmes around the rim, open looks in the paint, and makeable jumpers that he's been hitting all season long. What made it even more frustrating is that Golden State basically dared him to beat them. They didn't have elite rim protection, they weren't doubling him consistently, and they were practically begging him to prove he could score efficiently in high-pressure moments. Instead, he gave them exactly what they wanted, a talented player who couldn't convert when the lights got brightest. Here's the really damning part. Among all centers who played at least 70 games last season, Sengun had the 5th worst field goal percentage in the entire group. That puts him in the same category as players who shouldn't even be starting in this league. For a guy who's supposed to be the next great offensive center, that's completely unacceptable. The assist-to-turnover ratio tells an even uglier story. All that beautiful playmaking we love to praise comes with way too many careless mistakes. When you're the primary initiator for your offense, you can't afford to give possessions away like that, especially in the playoffs where every possession matters exponentially more. Just when critics were ready to write off Sengun as another promising player who couldn't handle the pressure, he went to EuroBasket and absolutely destroyed some of the best competition in the world. We're not talking about padding stats against inferior opponents. He went head-to-head with current and former NBA stars and made them look ordinary. The numbers from EuroBasket are absolutely ridiculous. Piney's 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists per game, while shooting 62% from the field and 43% from three-point range. That three-point shooting is the most important development, because it solves his biggest weakness. If Sengun can consistently hit threes at that level, he becomes completely unguardable. But what's really impressive is how he dominated players who are supposed to be his equals or betters. His plus-minus was better than Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and even Nikola Jokic himself. That's not just a good performance for a young player, that's superstar-level dominance on the biggest international stage. The efficiency improvements weren't just about better shot selection either. You could see the confidence difference in how he attacked the rim, how he pulled up for jumpers, and how he moved without the ball. This looked like a player who had figured something out about his own game that he couldn't quite grasp during the NBA season. What makes this even more significant is that international basketball is typically harder for players like Sengun. The pace is different, the physicality is different, and the strategic approaches are completely different from what he's used to in Houston. The fact that he not only adapted but absolutely thrived suggests that his ceiling might be even higher than anyone imagined. Everything is aligning for Sengun to have a breakout season that nobody sees coming. He's entering his age 23 season with playoff experience, international success, and now the best teammate he's ever had. The efficiency problems that plagued him last year seem to be solved based on his EuroBasket performance, and he's shown that he can raise his game when the competition gets tougher. The Western Conference has no idea what's about to hit them, while everyone's focused on the usual contenders. Houston is quietly building something that could catch everybody off guard. Sengun's playmaking creates easy shots for everyone around him. Durant's presence will prevent teams from loading up defensively, and their young core is about to enter their prime years simultaneously. What makes this situation even more dangerous is that Sengun plays his best basketball when he's doubted. The criticism about his playoff performance clearly motivated him to work on his weaknesses, and the results speak for themselves. This is a player who thrives on proving people wrong, and he's about to have the biggest stage possible to do exactly that. The Twin Tower lineups with Steven Adams showed glimpses of something special last season, posting insane net ratings in limited minutes. Now imagine those same concepts but with Durant spacing the floor instead of a traditional center. The defensive rebounding and rim protection remain elite, but suddenly the offense becomes impossible to stop because you can't help off anyone. Houston's offense ranked 13th overall last season, but jumped to 7th when Sengun was on the court. Add Durant's scoring and the efficiency improvements we saw at EuroBasket, and that offense could easily become top 3 in the league. When you combine that with their improved defense and young players entering their prime, this team is positioned for something special. The league better take notice because Alperen Sengun isn't just rising anymore, he's about to explode into superstardom, and when he does, the entire Western Conference hierarchy is going to get flipped upside down.